Hej alla, jag heter Pekka Simula. Jag är VD till Herantis Pharma och som ni kan gissa om man heter Pekka kan man inte tala perfekt svenska. Men jag ska göra mitt bästa. Som sagt ska jag hålla mesta av presentationen på engelska, men jag ska även försöka göra mitt bästa med svenska när vi kommer till frågan. Men toward clinical breakthroughs, so we are moving to a totally different area, to drug development. So Herantis Pharma is a public drug development company. We are based in Finland. We have offices in Helsingfors and in Åbo. And to start with, because drug development is a very challenging area, let's begin with where pharmaceuticals actually come from. We have drugs from the pharmacy. Where did those drugs initially come from? Typically nowadays, novel drugs are based on science. So there may be a new discovery about a disease. There may be a new molecule discovered which has such features that it might be useful in the treatment of a disease. And such scientific findings, which are often based on years and years of academic science, are then taken into clinical development. And this is a very long and slow endeavor. It often begins with optimizing the molecule, and it then proceeds to first laboratory tests, then preclinical testing, and if everything still looks promising, continues to clinical testing. So the clinical trials are where the human patients are actually treated with these new drug candidates. And if they still seem to work, if there is a statistical proof that they are safe and efficacious in the treatment of a drug disease, then they will be in the market. Then they will reach the pharmacies and they can be sold. This, of course, requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of money. And this is why many companies, such as Herantis Pharma, have taken a strategy where they focus on a certain part of development, and then they will look for big partners, big pharmaceutical companies, who will then pay the big money for the late stage, very expensive development. This is exactly what we do. So we take projects based on leading science at universities. We patent those discoveries to ensure that we have exclusivity if the drugs actually make it to the market. And then we develop these drug candidates. So we do the optimization, preclinical development, and clinical development until we believe it's time to find a partner. And at this point, it's actually a possibility to already start generating revenue. So even though the drugs are not yet in the market, if you make the right kind of a partnering agreement, you will start to receive milestone payments and eventually royalties from those big partners. So you can start to generate revenue even though your drugs will only reach the market later. Alltså en sammanfattning på svenska. Vi är ett läkemedelsutvecklingsbolag och vi har fokus i regenerativ medicin. Alltså vi har 2 proprietära läkemedel nu i kliniska tester. Vi har vår CDNF mot Parkinsons sjukdom och där ämnar ni verkligen att stoppa sjukdomens utveckling. Inte bara hålla på med symptoms. Och lymfektin mot sekundär lymfödem som skulle vara världens första genterapi i kliniska utveckling som reparerar skador på lymfsystemet. Båda är baserade på världsledande forskning och som jag sa, vi är listade nu i Helsingfors. Vi är listade i First North Helsingfors. Men vi planerar även att notera vårt aktie i First North Sverige därför att vi tror att det finns en jättebra grupp om likana bolag i Sverige. So in Finland we are actually the only listed drug development company at the moment. In Sweden there are very good peers, for instance IRLAB and BioArctic and so forth. Now, because this is a very challenging business for investors, it's very difficult to assess the possible value and the risks related to the drug development. We always believe it's important that we try to explain to possible investors what these drug candidates actually try to do. So let's start with CDNF for Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease, as you may know, is a relatively common neurodegenerative disease. It's the second most common neurodegenerative disease after Alzheimer's. It's estimated that about 7 to 10 million people worldwide have Parkinson's disease. The typical first symptoms of the disease are motor symptoms like shaking and tremors, problems with balance. But as the disease progresses, there are also a lot of non-motor symptoms. And today there are no drugs that would stop the progression of Parkinson's disease or even slow the progression of Parkinson's disease. There are treatments, there are drugs that help the motor symptoms of the disease. The golden standard is still L-DOPA or levodopa, which has been in use since the 1960s for about 50 years, which tells you quite a bit. There hasn't been any significant breakthrough in the treatment of Parkinson's disease. Of course, the treatments have gradually improved. There are better dosings and so forth, but still there is no really good treatment for Parkinson's disease. It's also a very expensive disease for societies, not to mention the human suffering. It's estimated that in the United States, if there was a treatment that could stop progression of Parkinson's disease, it would save the society over $400,000 for each patient. Globally, it's estimated to be a disease burden, a societal cost of about $50 billion every year. So there is certainly a great need for a new treatment that would stop progression of Parkinson's disease. And that's exactly what we try with CDNF. Its natural role is to protect neurons. So we all have CDNF in our brains all the time. And when it was discovered about 10 years ago, and the scientific research for the past decade have shown that it's a very important protein in our brains that helps keep our neurons alive, because we don't get new neurons since our childhood. And the relevance in Parkinson's disease is exactly that. Parkinson's disease is caused by the death of certain neurons. So we start to lose so-called dopaminergic neurons, and that causes Parkinson's disease. So if we could keep those neurons alive, we could stop progression of the disease. And that's exactly the hypothesis behind CDNF for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. Over the past years, we have also accumulated very interesting data in other neurodegenerative diseases, but the focus is first in Parkinson's disease. And maybe the most important preclinical study done to date was done in rhesus monkeys, so a relatively large non-human primate. Aged rhesus monkeys and Parkinsonism in those monkeys. Just like in humans, the Parkinsonism in these rhesus monkeys is related to the death of dopaminergic neurons. So as you can see in the panel on the left, there is very little dark area. The dark staining here indicates dopamine neurons. so they are almost completely gone. There's about an 80% loss of dopaminergic neurons. And when these rhesus monkeys were given 3 monthly doses of CDNF, of our drug candidate, as you can see in the panel on the right, there is a significant restoration of the dopaminergic function. There's much more dark staining. So we really, in this model of Parkinson's disease, we were able to restore a lot of the dopaminergic neurons. And this correlated very nicely with improved motor function, both gross motor function and fine motor function in these animals. But most excitingly, for the first time in the world in this monkey model of Parkinson's disease, we were also able to improve the non-motor symptoms. So we also saw significantly reduced depressive behavior in the animals, improved motivation in the animals. And this was considered very exciting also by several experts in Parkinson's disease. And this actually contributed to us getting a significant European Union grant for our clinical study. So the European Union gave us a Horizon 2020 grant of about 6 million euros. And this clinical study funded by the European Union is done by a great consortium. We are very happy to work closely with Swedish leading sites. So in this clinical study, we are recruiting patients both in Lund University Hospital and also in Karolinska Universitetssjukhuset. The clinical study has now proceeded to a very exciting stage. We have fully recruited the study, so we have all the Parkinson's patients in the study, and we are waiting for the last patient to receive all the CDNF doses as planned, and then roughly at the end of this year, we will get the initial results from this study. Of course, we have to remember that this is the first time in the world when CDNF is administered to human patients. So from a regulatory viewpoint, this is a safety study. But of course, since we can do this study in real patients, we will also very carefully monitor them and see if these patients are possibly getting already some benefit from the CDNF treatment. Now, a common challenge in drug development for brain diseases is that we all also have in our brain a so-called blood-brain barrier. It's a barrier that prevents any toxins from entering our brains. So there's a good natural reason for having this blood-brain barrier. Unfortunately, it also stops most drug compounds from entering the brains. So you couldn't administer CDNF as a pill orally because it would never enter your brains. And for this reason, in the first clinical study in Lund, Stockholm, and Helsingfors, we are treating the patients with this kind of a drug delivery device. It's common to Parkinson's disease. It's very similar to a deep brain stimulation system, if you happen to know Parkinson's. And it's totally invisible after it's planted in the head of the patient. But there's a small port behind one ear. And then when the system is in place, once a month the patient goes to a doctor, is connected to a pump that will infuse the CDNF drug candidate directly in the brains, and then the pump is disconnected and the patient goes home. This works well in Parkinson's disease, but of course our hope is to later be able to expand in other neurodegenerative diseases. And in such diseases, this approach may not be suitable. And that's why we are very excited about our next generation CDNF. CDNF is a protein, so it's like if you imagine a spaghetti that's always in the same three-dimensional structure. And our researchers have identified in that protein structure the location of the activity. So they have then started to experiment with fragments, with pieces of that protein that contain just that active site. So they are much shorter. And to everyone's great excitement, it's been shown that these small fragments retain the activity, so they work in Parkinson models so far just as well as the natural CDNF protein, but they also cross the blood-brain barrier. So it seems that it will be possible to administer these peptides based on CDNF possibly as easily as insulin is given to diabetes patients. So this would, of course, be a tremendous opportunity to expand in other neurodegenerative diseases. So that's our first program in Parkinson's disease. So it's currently in a phase 1/2 randomized clinical trial where readout is expected roughly at the end of this year. Our other program is in lymphedema, and the main focus there, first of all, is in breast cancer-associated lymphedema. Now, this is a disease that's probably much less common or less well known than Parkinson's disease, but it's actually much more common. It's estimated that there are over 150 million people with lymphedema in the world. And breast cancer-associated lymphedema, as a subset of those patients, is caused by breast cancer treatments, typically either radiotherapy or surgery, where the lymphatic system in the axilla suffers so much damage that lymph, the liquid, starts to accumulate in the affected arm, as you can see in the picture. And this is not just some temporary swelling. This is a permanent, progressive disease that is associated with a significant quality of life deterioration. Many of these patients actually say that having to live with lymphedema is worse than the breast cancer diagnosis in the first place. There are no approved drugs whatsoever for the treatment of lymphedema. And what we are developing is a simple gene therapy that aims to repair the damages of the lymphatic system. So we try to really fix the problem that is causing the disease. This is based on the scientific discovery of VEGF-C. That's, again, a human natural protein. We all have it in our body. And its role in our body is to grow new lymphatic vessels. So very obviously, we have developed a gene therapy that expresses VEGF-C. So it helps our body create this growth factor locally where it's needed, so locally in the site of damage. So the green lines here show the lymphatic vessels. There is a cut in the lymphatic vessels here. So lymphatic is administered in that area. It then results in sprouting of these new lymphatic capillaries, and eventually they mature into a functional lymphatic network. So we really try to cure the problem and thus help the body to start again drawing the lymph out of the affected arm. We have completed a phase 1 study already with lymphectin in 3 university hospitals in Finland, and shown that the treatment was safe and well tolerated based on that study. And now we are in a phase 2 study in which we are recruiting patients in the same 3 sites in Finland and also 2 excellent sites in Sweden. So Uppsala and Karolinska University hospitals in Sweden are recruiting patients. We target to recruit a total of 40 patients by the end of this year, randomized in 2 groups to receive either lymphectin or placebo. And then at the end of a 12-month follow-up, we will be ready to unblind the study and see if there's a difference between the lymphectin and placebo treatments. So roughly at the end of next year, we hope to see if this really works. And that would, of course, be very exciting for all lymphedema patients in the world, because even if we are now targeting only breast cancer-associated lymphedema, there's reason to believe that if it works in that subset of patients, it would also work in other secondary lymphedema cases. So just to summarize quickly, our drug candidates, lymphectin and CDNF, are now already in placebo-controlled clinical studies, a phase 2 study and a phase 1/2 study. in excellent clinics, leading clinics in Sweden and Finland. We have the next generation CDNF, the non-invasive CDNF as a follow-on program. And as a company, our focus is really targeting unmet clinical needs. We really want to go for breakthroughs. We are not in the field of traditional drug development. We really want to change how people live with these diseases. We really want to make a change in the treatment of the diseases, which of course means a significant possibility for an upside, but at the same time also very high risks if you consider it from the investor's viewpoint. As said, we are getting ready for unblinding of the Parkinson's study roughly at the end of this year and the lymphedema study roughly at the end of next year. We are fully funded to accomplish both of these goals. And thanks again in part to Sweden. So our last round of funding we completed in the spring was mainly taken by a Swedish global healthcare fund, Swedbank Roburs Medica Global Healthcare Fund, subscribed to half of that offering. And as said, we are considering a possible dual listing in Sweden. We see this as a very active market with much knowledge on drug development in general and also very good peers in our field, as said. One word on our management very quickly. So we have also an excellent international board of directors. For a Finnish company, we believe that's very important to also have international board directors with expertise in the field. Also very happy to have a Swede in our board. Ingrid Atterud Heiman is actually in the audience tonight. I'm sure she will give me a lot of feedback on my Swedish. But very happy to have great expertise in our board. Thank you.
Tack Pekka, välkommen hit.
Tack.
Då får du berätta för mig här, du har ett litet kryss där som är ditt. Varför vill du stå här idag och prata med de här investerarna?
Naturligtvis vill vi är inte en välkänd bolag säkert. Och nu vi tänker på en dual listing i Sverige vill vi of course ha människor veta mera om oss och kanske tänka på oss som en möjlig investeringsopportunitet.
Och vad tänker ni att det ska ge er för nya möjligheter att komma framåt? Det här att lista er även i Sverige. Du säger det finns bolag som är liknande, man förstår lite mer medicin. Vad ska det ge er?
Likviditet först. Alltså i Finland har vi ingen lång erfarenhet i läkemedelsutveckling. Vi har bara Orion Pharma som är en läkemedelsbolag i Finland. Och i Sverige har ni enorm erfarenhet med Astra och Sobi och så vidare för 100 år. Alltså i Finland, om man pratar om ICT, om spel eller så vidare, då förstår våra investerare hur sån där business verkar. Men läkemedelsutveckling är det jättesvårt i Finland att hitta investerare som verkligen förstår vad det gäller om.
Och sen pratar du om det här att ni är ute efter genombrott helt enkelt. Helt nya metoder. Och vad säger det då nu när man sitter där som investerare? Vad säger det om risknivån? Du sa att det finns en uppsida och en nedsida. Hur ska man tänka?
Det är enkelt att säga att risknivån är hög. Alltså då det gäller om läkemedelsutveckling, generellt kan man säga att det finns alltid en hög risk med läkemedelsutveckling. Och då det gäller om biologiska läkemedel som våra genterapi och proteinterapi och en genombrott till exempel i Parkinsons sjukdom är det även större. Men då är förstås också möjligheten helt mycket större.
Jag ser en hand här i publiken som jag vill plocka upp och jag repeterar frågan innan du får svara så att även de som sitter på webben får höra. Ja. Ja, den stora frågan. Hur länge räcker pengarna?
Tills ända nästa år, alltså ända 2020.
Och var står ni då ungefär? Då har ni är inte framme då antar jag, eller? Med det ni tänkte? Ja, alltså det var i tid, men i resultat, alltså behöver ni ta in mer pengar innan ni har kommit?
Jo, naturligtvis. Ja. Som jag sa tidigare, läkemedelsutveckling behöver alltid mera och mera investeringar. Och det beror också på våra partnering, alltså till exempel BioArctic som är en svensk bolag som utvecklar en läkemedel till Alzheimers sjukdom, har en fas 3 som är nu finansierad med Eisai, alltså en japanisk bolag. Alltså det är också förstås en möjlighet för oss att vi pratar hela tiden som alla små bolag. Vi pratar hela tiden med olika större farmaceutiska bolag och om det finns det rätta opportunitet så skulle vi inte behöva så mycket pengar för vår egen arbete.
Och du säger att ni pratar med större bolag. Är det du som ringer till dem eller är det de som ringer till dig?
Det är både och.
Det är både och. Okej, men det ringer mycket i telefonen?
Ja, och varje gång vi har nyhet ser vi mera intresse. Men det är också samma sak. Alltså, jag behöver ta det på engelska. It's estimated that the pharmaceutical industry has invested over $20 billion in developing a drug for Parkinson's disease that would be disease modifying. Alltså över 200 miljard kronor. Och det finns ingenting. So that also tells you something about the risknivån. This is really difficult, but at the same time you can guess that any pharmaceutical company who's active in Parkinson's disease is very interested if you have a possibly disease-modifying treatment.
Yeah. Okej, är det någon fler fråga här i publiken innan vi går vidare? Ja. Hur långt har ni kommit i utvecklingen med Parkinson-medicinen?
Det har börjat när bolaget var grundat i 2008, alltså cirka 10 år sedan. Och Parkinsons utveckling har börjat, kanske borde man säga 2010 eller 2011. Alltså det har tagit nu cirka 28 år med Parkinsons sjukdom. Alltså det tog cirka 6 år att komma till kliniska studien.
Ungefär 10 år till undrar hon?
Det beror jättemycket. Det är jättesvårt att säga igen därför att det finns inga läkemedel som kan stoppa Parkinsons sjukdom. Alltså då vi pratar med regulator finns det ingen färdig svara till att det är det här som du borde visa så att du kan säga att du kan stoppa Parkinsons sjukdom. Alltså beror också mycket på hur man diskuterar med regulatorer.
Och sen berättar du också, nu har vi en liten stund kvar, du berättade om det här EU-bidrag från Horizon 2020. Vad betyder det för er mer än pengar? Bygger det er trovärdighet, er synlighet?
Det är säkert jätteimportant därför också att som det visade European Commission säger att det grund är att man har ledande vetenskap och en genombrottmöjlighet. Och de har verkligen jättebra experter som hjälper dem säga vem som får pengar. Alltså världen vet att vi har varit genom ett jättetungt analys för att få de pengar.
Mm. Och vi hoppas såklart alla att ni ska komma fram till ett läkemedel mot Parkinson. Så tack för det, Pekka.
Tack.
Lycka till på resan framåt.
Tackar.